matter if it's dealing with football or not, whatever your journey is, at the end of the day, it's about me trying to make these young men become men.
Welcome to After Practice with Coach B. Graham, presented by CBG Media.
I'm with Dameon Jones here at Chaminade-Madonna High School, and we go back a little bit. So this is a good interview for me. I'm excited talking after practice. And first question, you're at a big school here. You've done a lot with the 11 years you've been at Chaminade, and for a lot of coaches, I guess they see the talent and they don't understand what else is behind that. I think a lot of coaches, if I had that talent, there's a lot of things I could do. What don't people understand about having talent but still having to put that work in? What don't people get?
I've seen a lot of coaches have a bunch of talent and still lose,
Right.
So at the end of the day, man, you treat everybody the same, man, that same culture and work mentality. Come in and get everybody on the same page, because it's a whole bunch of managing you got to deal with, players, coaches, getting everybody on the same page, everybody to buy in. It looks easy when you put the product out there, but it definitely took a minute and a lot of hard work to get to that point.
You're a national program now. It's obviously and recognized. What do you think led to that? Because you weren't when you got here. What led to the fact that you guys are now national, recognized, recruits everywhere?
Just kind of the everyday grind. We started off and just took baby steps and just kept, growing as a program and conquering different games and different teams where, I'll never forget what put us on the map when we went to Georgia and played Buford. Buford was on the top nationally ranked teams, and we went to Georgia and we beat them. That put us on the map. That let everybody know, like, hey, what this small school out of South Florida, who is this? Who is Chaminade-Madonna? But that game definitely put us on the map and got us talking in that national talking, from there.
I think one of the biggest things to that point is, again, the work and the little things. What is the kind of one of the most important things about hard work, and one of the most important things principle-wise with your program that you always keep in your mind when you come to practice, when you wake up, you're going to wake up?
And just to kind of what we preach to our kids, like one thing a lot of people and my coaches will tell you and the kids will tell you, one thing we don't talk about is records, winning state championships. We don't talk about it. Because at the end of the day, whatever that team did before you, that's that team. We got to start over every year and start from ground zero, and everything's just about hard work. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to life is consistent on hard work. So no matter if it's dealing with football or not, whatever your journey is, at the end of the day, it's about me trying to make these young men become men. Because at the end of the day, no matter if they do football or whatever their endeavors are, they got to be able to handle the world, and the world ain't easy. So, you got to be able to put in work to get, what you want out of it. So that's our culture around here. It's just hard work. Nothing's given. Just because you got this lion on your chest, people ain't going to lay down for you. The bullseye's on your back, and we know that. We embrace that. So that's why we work. I think we probably work 3 or 4 times harder than anybody else, just because we know that.
And you talk about work, but at the same time, you somehow have found this balance where your practices aren't 18-hour marathons. What is important for you with practice, and what is that balance? Because I was a coach at one point who had to learn that. What is important for you with your practice time and the balance?
Oh man, I had to learn that too. This is year 21 for me as a head coach down here in South Florida. So I had to learn that too. So I learned a lot in those years, but just being consistent and persistent, with your time and time management is big, So a lot of times, different strokes for different folks, but just, with the data and stuff that, I read up on and just watching the great ones do it, longer don't mean better.
What does the Chaminade-Madonna practice look like? What is if somebody took a snapshot, or coaches, wanting to know, what does it look like? What is the intensity like? How do you build something like that? And when you come away from it, when you're happy, that was a good practice. What did it look like that day?
That it was fast, it was intense. It's always going to be aligned on time. So as long as we moving from station to station and we on schedule, that's a great practice. Nobody got hurt. That's a great practice. And we got better. That's a great practice. So at the end of the day, that's what an average Chaminade-Madonna practice looks like. The main thing is I want these kids to kind of be in their environment now, so they're ready for the environment they're going to get into at the next level. So it's kind of where they're used to it already. And that's why a lot of guys from our program go off to college and, you know, succeed, because they're doing the same thing they've been doing in high school and they've seen this before. And, you know, it's a different environment, you know, culture-wise, at a different, and being out of college, but it's kind of the same ordeal what you learned in high school, man. So that's what we pride on ourselves, getting these kids ready for the next level, not just about wins and losses.
And you hit on something. If I'm a coach at another school, or I'm a coach not even in this state, and I got these elite players, and I'm starting to finally get fortunate to have these players, how do you get them motivated every day for practice? Because, you know, you would think that the better I am, the more I can start saying, I don't need to do that. How do you motivate a player who's got all these power offers?
Well, at the end of the day, man, you got to make practice about competition all the time, you know, because it can get redundant, it can get boring. So you got to make it a competition thing every day, man, because there got to be a winner, got to be a loser, man. But you gotta put in these kids' minds too is, I mean, how good you want to be in this? Where you want this game of football to take you? Where you want this? I call it a tunnel of football. Like, this football can take you a bunch of places around the world. But how you want to use this football? Now, if you just want to be playing for recreation, hey, guess what? This might not be the place for you. But if you trying to use this football to, you know, take your life to another level, you know, again, not to say football is going to be your all to be all, but I mean, football can go get you a degree. So you can, you know, set yourself, you and your family up, you know, for the rest of your life to just, hey, get a good job, you know, take care of you, be a great husband, you know, be a great father, you know. That's kind of what this, you know, because guess what? We all know about the 1% that makes it to the NFL. We all know about that. But that don't mean that you can't make a bunch of money and take care of your mom and your family. You know what job you picking out so you can make that type of money to, you know. And guess what? You can still be around the game of football. The NFL got a bunch of jobs where you can be there on Sunday behind the scenes doing something else, making a bunch of money. And that's the stuff that we preach here, man. Football can take you a lot of different places and different paths, and everybody's path is different, you know. So that's kind of what we teach here, man, to trying to prepare guys for life. And guess what? Doing it that way, the wins come. The wins are never the goal, you know. It just comes. But, you know, God's been good, man, and thankful for that. But I think that's just my mission. My mission has been just setting young men up, and your blessings come from that.
You've had success here. How many state championships are you up to now?
7. 10 years in a row and 7 state titles.
7 state titles, and it just, at what point do you look at it and say, man, we've had that bullseye on our back for a long time. Do you ever look at it and try to have to figure out how to keep yourself motivated and keep going through, you know, wake up the next morning?
Hey, honestly, I can tell you, the kids are the motivation, just what I just spoke about, making sure, you know, they get to the place they need to be in their life, because at the end of the day, the trophy is not the motivation anymore. You know, winning the state title is not, if I won the state title tomorrow compared to the first one I won, it don't feel the same. It don't feel the same at all. But I'd be happy for everybody else who wins. But I'm good if I don't win another state title. But as long as these young men, you know, reach their goals, that's kind of the satisfactory part for me, you know. Coming into this thing, that I think I would win 1 state title, no. So I got 7 of them, so I ain't got nothing to complain about. So that's kind of just where I'm at with it, man. As long as you keep just doing right by people and kids, that's just what it is, man. So, you know, like I always tell people, man, it don't matter who on the train gonna keep rolling.
You've had some talented players from Jeremiah Smith on down the line, and how do you make, and this is for any coach, how do you make your school somewhere, or your program some place where people want to be a part of and come back to and keep pouring into and, just make it so that they don't leave and say, all right, thank God I'm done with that place.
Right. And I tell my players all the time, when they hear, you ain't gonna like Coach Jones. But when they go off to college, man, they call me like we best friends, Mm-hmm. And just because, I just, hold them accountable while they're here, and that's kind of the main thing. But they always come back. We just build that type of culture, like it's welcoming here, So they want to come back and give the knowledge back to the young men that's in the slots that they were in previously, So especially, with the guys that's in college having success now, D'Angelo Pons, who is going to be a first round or second round pick this year. And then next year, we projected to have 3 first rounders from Chaminade-Madonna next year. So that's crazy and unheard of, So, I mean, we just want to try to keep that train going, man. And again, it's the 1%. And, we just been fortunate to have a couple of percentages on this end, man. So it's been great.
Talk about 1%. Let's talk about 1% real quick. Tell me about that. Tell me about the importance of it.
I mean, it's not too much importance of it because you can't control it, You don't know who that 1% is and which kid that's going to be. I just know that's the goal for a lot of kids. A lot of our kids in South Florida, that's the goal. I want to make it to the league. I want to do this. I want to do that at the next level, But that 1% is what makes it. And you can't control that. They got to control that, Mm-hmm. And everything kind of got to line up like that, perfect for them too. Because I've seen a lot of great kids that should be in the NFL don't make it to the NFL because, they have different hurdles or, things didn't work out the way they want to work out. Then I've seen some kids make it that I wouldn't think would make it, but guess what? They did everything right and their path was different. So, God has a plan for everybody, man. So you just never know.
As a coach, how do you look at how often have you been able to look at a player and say, all right, that kid that's a next level kid. That's a University of Miami. That's an Ohio State kid right there. Or that's a first round kid. Are you able to do that at this point?
I'm able to say, what level of conference they should be in, like in my opinion, like, hey, you'll do well in Pac-10 or, Big 12, ACC, SEC. But I'm able to say that. To sit there and say you're an NFL guy in high school, you can tell, but I don't say that much. Jeremiah Smith.
That was going to be the question.
Yeah, that was going to be the question. Yeah.
That was coming.
I don't know. He was different. Mm-hmm. People don't understand, like, he was a talent. He was a talent. He definitely a big talent, but he was just different. Mm-hmm. Like, stuff that coaches got to coach kids up on, you didn't have to coach him up on. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, when it was time to do sprints, he wasn't trying to lose a sprint. Conditioning, wasn't trying to lose conditioning. He was here 3.5 years. I probably seen him drop 2 passes in 3.5 years. Like, he was that perfectionist, I'll never forget one day he had a hip flexor or whatever. And it was just like, hey man, just go to the trainer and get healthy for the game on Friday. He went through the whole practice. He didn't have to practice. He went through the whole practice. So I always, the kids like, I want to be Jeremiah Smith. It ain't about the talent of Jeremiah Smith. It's the mindset of Jeremiah Smith and, what his parents instilled in him. And that was able to, take him a long way, with the talent as well. And that's the mindset, that kid is just different.
As a coach, are you able to get your best player to be your hardest worker ever, or is that just something that you've found in your experience is just there and it's just in them? Where obviously Jeremiah Smith being your best player, you're fortunate as a coach, he was your worker. But are you able to go as a coach and talk to your players? I need you to be that guy.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to have those conversations. Yeah, Jeremiah was just one-on-one, but other ones you gotta build that culture in them. You gotta put that mindset in them. Because a lot of them think, I'm that guy. I could just coast through. Nah, not here. We're not gonna allow that. Especially my coaches that I got here, man. That's I probably had my same coaches. The core of my coaches been with me for these 10 years. So they know the culture. They know what to be expected, man. And man, they do a heck of a job, you know. So that's them and us is the reason this thing continues to roll, you know. You know, I done had coaches leave and go be head coaches other places. And guess what? This thing still continue to roll. So at the end of the day, man, you know, it's the culture here, man. It definitely is. Definitely is.
And you will finish this up with this, but if you have, you know, if you were able to talk to, you were once that young coach starting out, you were at Hollandale and doing some other things, and what is your advice to coaches who want to make maybe some of do some of the great things you've done and maybe avoid some of the things you had to learn along the way? Because we talked off camera about some of the things that both of us learned in the coaching world,
right.
You know, to try to maybe get to a point where not just they just don't have a great program, but they're enjoying their own life. They're enjoying being with their family. They're enjoying what they're giving to young men. What is your advice to coaches?
100% on that. When I first started out being a head coach at Hollandale, man, my thing was just to build a program, man. So you was 7 days a week, all day, just trying to get this, make sure this is right. You know, you just putting in time, and you're not really taking time out for yourself. Having long practices. Again, you make it a Friday night, you have a game. Saturday morning, you right back watching, got the kids in there watching film, doing lifts. Then Sundays, you breaking down films with your coaches. Then you right back to practice on Monday. It was a 7-day ordeal. That's how I was when I first started out. And then every year, I just gradually, you know, just watching other people, reading books on just time management on stuff, man, and you know, you just kind of you cut some of that stuff down, man. Because at the end of the day, you still gotta live your life too. You know, you can't be consumed with football, and that's the healthy part of it too. Because at the end of the day, you want to be great at something, but you know, you gotta take time out for yourself and your mental health and your health, period. You know, so I learned that. A couple years, you know, my later years at Hollandale, and then coming over to Chaminade, one thing I cut out is the morning practice after a game. You know, having those film sessions on Saturday morning and having those breakdowns on Sunday. You know, hey, go enjoy your weekend. Kids, let your body rest. Coaches, go be with your family. You know, because at the end of the day, guess what? We still got that Monday, you know, to break it down and have our stuff ready for a regular practice or a walkthrough, you know, but then you still want to consume those guys' bodies, man, because one thing I know about this generation compared to when we played, they might be a lot stronger and faster than we were, but they don't hold up like we did. So you got to protect their mindset and their body, man. So that's kind of what I learned over the years, and you got to protect your coach's mindset too, you know, because they got families too. They got, you know, stuff that they got to do in their lives. So all that stuff, you know, played a part in it, just kind of making this thing go, man, what I learned. And it was crazy. The head coach at Indiana came out with his post after they won the national championship, man, and it was crazy. I got a bunch of text messages when he made that, and it's just like, dang, coach, you knew before he knew. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy, you know? It's crazy that we on the same page, but maybe who I was watching, who I was studying, trying to get data from, he was doing the same thing, man, and it worked for him, and then it worked for me as well, so.
Coach, I appreciate it. We had a good after practice here, and I can't wait to come bother you again. We got a lot more to talk about. Thanks a lot.
Nah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to After Practice with Coach B. Graham. Catch more from us on CBG Collective Media on Instagram and CBG Collective on YouTube.